Home buyers, with all the confusing headlines out there, I thought I would get together with you and talk about the benefits of home ownership, the home ownership benefits, because there are so many. Lately, there's a lot of news out there that's talking about the housing market slowdown. Housing cools off. Of course it cools off. Of course it cooled off. 2021 was the largest year for home sales since 2005. There haven't been that many homes sold in a single year since 2005, 16 years. It couldn't stay at that level. That's why we're seeing the market shift back down, decelerate back to normal. This is what you hoped for. But along the way, when you're reading these headlines, it can distort your view and start to cloud your view on the benefits of home ownership. It might make you think, oh, I'd rather rent. Well, that's not working out very well because rents are up dramatically since rates went up and they drove more people into renting because some got knocked out of being able to afford to buy. So I thought I'd get together with you and talk about home ownership benefits. Number one, control your domain. Control where you live. Let's face it, most of us have been tenants at some point in our life, right? Do you like it as much as when you own a place? If you don't own a place, you haven't felt the sense of ownership just yet. But being able to control whether you keep your property clean or dirty, being able to paint whatever colors you want, being able to move walls around, change things, open up the floor plan, have pets, whatever it may be, there are significant benefits to controlling your own domain. Another one is having a fixed payment, fixed monthly payment, right? Think about that one. When you are renting, that landlord can change your rent at any time, really with 30 days notice if you're a tenant at will, or if you are in a lease. Most residential leases are on 12-month spans. That lease is up, they can change your rent. There's been a significant amount of people that their rents have been increased in the last few months since mortgage rates went up and so many people ran into rentals. Drove rents right up. I was quoted in the Boston Globe recently talking about that very thing. When you buy, you get a fixed payment, usually for 30 years if you do a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Even if you do a 10-year or a 7 or a 5, at least you know what your payment is going to be for that fixed period of time. And I will tell you, as someone who's owned property for over 20 years, knowing what that payment's going to be is a nice feeling. Because over time, you make more money and the payment stays the same. With renting, you make more money and the rents go up along with it over time. That's the way that it works. Another one is asset growth, okay? Asset growth. The wonderful thing about real estate compared to stocks is if you want to buy $100,000 worth of stock, you have to put $100,000 on the line. You got to open an E-Trade account or some company you have to go on to, put $100,000 in, and you get $100,000 worth of stock. The beauty of real estate, you can buy a $100,000 asset with maybe $5,000, 5% down, $10,000, 10% down, $20,000, 20% down, and you own the whole asset. So you put up a small amount of money and you own the whole thing. And as properties appreciate, normally, the last couple of years has been crazy. Don't use that. Use historic norms, 5, 6, 7% a year. Your asset value is going up every single year as you're paying your mortgage down. Another one is mortgage interest deduction. I'm going to write here, interest deduction. Now, when I started employing people 20 years ago, I found it very interesting that when they bought homes, within a year they would often say, geez, I'm not paying as much taxes, or I got more money back at the end of the year on my taxes than I ever have before. Well, of course, because mortgage interest is tax deductible. Rent is not. Rent, there's no deduction for paying rent, but there is a deduction for mortgage interest. And when you first have a mortgage, you pay a high amount of interest and a low amount of principal. That's why in the early years, the principal that you owe, the total amount that you owe on the loan, only goes down a little bit at a time because you're paying a lot of interest. But that interest you can write off and you can deduct as an expense on your taxes. Those are 4 benefits. And folks, again, there's many benefits to home ownership, but these are 4 benefits to home ownership that come to mind that I think are the most prevalent and popular, and I wanted to go over them with you because what I don't want to happen is home buyers to get it twisted and start to see all these headlines and forget how wonderful it is to own a home. That's all, folks. Good luck. Happy home buying.